Hi!
Hi, guys.
Welcome. I'm Lola Stardust, and this is yet another episode of Witches and Wine. This is actually episode 13, if you're superstitious. But, you know, we're witches. The number 13 is kind of cool for us. So, this is the show where we talk about witchy stuff, occultish stuff, that surreal stuff, and we drink wine. Clink and drink. Ooh, yeah. Ooh, yeah. So before we welcome our guest, I'm going to turn the floor over to Silenus, and he is going to talk about, sorry, that's blurry. He's going to talk about the wine that we're drinking.
Hi, guys. Tonight, we went with a sparkling rosé. It's from Rondel. It is a semi-Seco rosé, so it means it's hard to read with the white lettering and so forth against it.
Yeah.
But it is a semi-Seco Cava.
And what is that?
Cava is the Spanish version of champagne or sparkling wine.
Did you say Psycho Cava?
No, a semi-Seco.
I heard it too.
Thank you.
A semi-Seco means it has some of the same grapes that they use in Proseccos, as well as some of the grapes they use in Cavas.
What he said.
Very affordable, $10 a bottle. Very fun, bubbly, nice and easy to drink. A lot of strawberry flavoring come through on it. Highly, highly recommend it for your everyday sparkling, sitting around in the backyard, drinking away.
Good barbecue wine. It's yummy.
I'm going to go ahead and step out now. Tonight's guest, you've seen him before. What he's going to be talking about. There's no way I could come up with a wine that's going to match with this. I looked and went through all the wines that I have access to, and there was nothing that was going to work for this.
But I told him he doesn't have to match a wine every time. Sometimes we just want to drink. It doesn't have to mean anything.
We like wine.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and step out now, and I'll let Lola bring in our guest.
Yay. Thank you, sweetie. Beep, beep. All right. Get in. Watch out for the puppies.
Ooh.
They don't move very fast. Hi, Shane.
Hi.
How you doing?
Hi.
Welcome back.
Yeah.
So, Shane was here before talking about, oh my god, my mind went blank. What'd you talk about before?
Aleister Crowley.
Aleister Crowley and
Thelema.
Thelema. Thank you. I had a moment. I had a senior citizen moment. So, we love Shane so much because you are so passionate about what you talk about, and he agreed to talk about a really cool guy and his influence. We're going to talk about John Dee.
John Dee. Yep.
And that's D-E-E. When I heard about this, the first thing I remembered hearing that name was he served for Elizabeth the First, Queen Elizabeth the First. And I thought that was really interesting. He was a mathematician. He was all sorts of super smart. Why don't you tell me about his background a little?
Yeah, so he went to Cambridge and he studied every academic discipline he could get his hands on. He was just like a little sponge for knowledge.
Yeah.
He learned about...
And what year was he born? I'm sorry, what year was he?
It's 1500s?
Yeah,
I couldn't tell you the exact...
16th century.
Yeah,
16th
16th century. Okay, I just wanted to make sure everyone knew. So, I'm sorry, go ahead.
So we're talking quite a while
yeah,
ago.
Yeah.
A lot older than the Crowley stuff.
Yeah.
So he studied, math. He was a mathematician.
Mm-hmm.
He studied astronomy. He studied the physical sciences. He was also an astrologer and an alchemist.
So
he
cool.
he was all over every discipline he could get his hands on.
Yeah, and you had said something about he advised the queen on certain things. Like, what did he advise her on?
So she was kind of his court, or he was kind of her court astrologer. Whenever she needed to plan events, she would consult him to make sure that the various planetary and astrological
everything
energies were lined up right for it.
That's really
She'd
cool.
consult him before sending people to war to make sure it was, the right time and
that's
that sort
really,
of thing.
really cool. And you had a kind of a cool war story that might be myth or...
There's some parts of these stories that it's hard to know really how much of it is true and how much of it has been mythologized by people telling the story over and over. But
Make it sound
basically,
fancy.
So the queen was thinking of sending her armada to war.
Yeah.
Ships. She was going to send them out to engage with the Spanish armada that was coming to attack Britannia. Which, interesting thing, John Dee actually coined the term Britannia. It comes from him.
Oh, really? Oh, you learn something new.
So they, she was going to send her ships out, but she consulted him, and he said, you cannot do this. You cannot send your ships, or there will be a great tempest that will come and it will destroy your fleet. I've seen it. This is a horrible time to send your ships out. And even though she knew this armada was coming, she chose to heed his advice and not send her ships out. And when the Spanish armada came sailing in, sure enough, right on cue with when he said it would, a massive storm came in and just destroyed them down to every last ship.
So, I mean, even Queen Elizabeth I believed in magical people and that kind of thing. And but then you had said something about later on down the line, as the story's been told, some people believe that maybe he summoned...
he was actually the one that summoned the storm to destroy, because he knew
Which is still cool if he did.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
I mean, that's a guy to have on your side for a war.
For sure, yeah.
So, can you tell me about... you said he was interested in occult stuff, so what kind of occult-like things did he get into?
So he, after he mastered all of these various sciences and disciplines, he wanted to learn more about the world, but he wasn't getting what he needed from the established sciences, so he decided to dig a little bit deeper, and he wanted to dig into sort of the underlying metaphysical reality of the universe.
Yeah.
And so he started studying whatever manuscripts he could find on various occult practices, and through a series of events, he started to try to sort of scry. I'm sure some of you out there have practiced scrying.
You look into whatever, and
like a crystal ball or a black mirror,
dark mirror. Yeah.
So he started to try to scry to try to learn more, and what he found was that he actually wasn't very good at scrying.
No,
it was like
he knew his limitations.
Yeah, he had all this knowledge and he had all these great ideas, but he couldn't do it. He kept trying and couldn't make it work. And so he met this guy named Edward Kelly.
Okay.
Sir Edward Kelly, who was actually if I remember right, he was kind of a down on his luck astrologer who had actually not done very well up until that point.
Okay.
But John Dee saw something in him, and he said, "Hey, I want to work with you. I want you to be the seer, and then I want to be I'll say whatever incantations I need to, and I want you to be the one who sees and interprets what you're seeing."
Oh, okay. Oh,
and
wow.
And so they formed this kind of a partnership and started working together, where John Dee would go deep into fasting and prayer, and he would try to speak to God. And for those out there who don't know, he was very devout Christian.
Yeah.
At
Interesting.
the time, it's probably how he got away with this at the time.
Undercover.
Yeah.
Undercover occultist disguised as a Christian. But he really believed in it, though.
He did.
Yeah, it wasn't like fake. He believed in that. Which I think is really awesome.
It is.
To have all those different beliefs and still be open-minded, because we all should be that way. Yeah, I'm sorry. But anyways.
Oh, no. So what's interesting about it is, and we'll kind of get to that, is the practice that he developed through this method is very universal. It's something anybody can do. It doesn't have to have a Judeo-Christian framework. But along these practices with Edward Kelly, something happened. They started to get a breakthrough. Edward Kelly started seeing these figures as he was looking into, I think it was a crystal ball that he was using, and these angelic figures started coming, and through a whole series of very complicated sort of cryptogram messages where they would have letters and numbers that they would show in the crystal ball.
Oh, wow.
And that was John Dee's jam. He's all about cryptograms. And that kind of thing.
John Dee's jam. That's amazing. John Dee's jam. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That's okay. So they started to decipher this stuff and found that what they were doing is whatever he was seeing, which he interpreted to be angels, because that was what
that's what he's familiar with. Yeah.
They started to reveal to him this language. And these various words and letters and calls in another language.
Oh, wow.
And what's fascinating about this is what became known as the Enochian language, and it is an actual language with grammar and syntax.
Yeah. That's amazing. That's awesome.
The reason he called it Enochian is because he believed what he was receiving was the lost book of Enoch.
Enoch, yeah.
And if you're familiar with the story of Enoch from the Bible, it was basically this guy who, the Bible describes him as being taken up into heaven and never coming back and seeing amazing things. And so this was like, this is what he was told.
Like, kind of like part 2, what happened.
Yeah, exactly.
They do that with certain in the Bible, they would do that with certain characters and characters, people that it was based on. And but what happened to them? So that's really cool that it's like, this is what happened,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is something that at the time I think they've since actually found the Book of Enoch,
Really?
or a Book of Enoch.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
That's what he was convinced he was receiving, and so this language, this angelic language, he referred to as Enochian, and so
That's
he developed
really
a whole
awesome.
system of magic around this, of sort of vision and scrying magic that
Yeah.
is still used today by modern systems.
And can you tell me about, so obviously this guy, like I said when you were talking about him earlier, obviously he influenced Aleister Crowley.
Oh, yeah.
So can you kind of tell me, going from him to how it influenced and how the trail of...
Yes, this is interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so basically John Dee, he had all these big manuscripts of his workings and the things he was seeing. And after he died, this stuff kind of I believe it was put in a chest in his attic, in like a secret little section under the chest, like a little opening door kind of thing.
Oh, wow.
And
That's
it was
awesome.
there for ages and ages and ages, and no one
Wow.
found this
He
stuff.
didn't have family, or did he?
He did, but he hid this stuff away.
He hid it, really?
Yeah.
Okay, wow. Jeez.
And what's really...
Secrets.
Yeah, he was very secretive. A lot of the stuff that was coming in there, like, I think it was a very real concern of his that if some of this stuff got out, he could, as much as he was very Christian, it would have been seen as heresy.
Well, absolutely, yeah,
You know?
I get it. So he had to be he had to be secretive about it, yeah.
And it's kind of sad that we actually don't have all of his manuscripts,
Mm-hmm.
because somewhere along the line, I don't remember the exact story, so I'm probably going to get this wrong, but
We wouldn't know the difference because I'm learning and loving.
So-
and drinking and
Yes.
clinking and drinking. Yep.
Drink.
Clink and drink.
this is great, by the
I have
way.
to fix mine.
I can't believe
Blake
I don't
and drink.
know this person.
We what?
I don't
John
know.
Dee, yeah.
I can't believe I don't know.
I had heard the name before.
Language and-
Yeah, he's a huge influence. So yeah, go ahead. So the story of
So he had this stuff locked away in his attic
Okay.
for a long time, and if I remember right, some maid, like a maid of the house, came upon this chest and like found this stuff, but she was illiterate, and as most
Yeah,
maids
back-
were during that
yeah,
time,
yeah.
and she didn't know what any of this stuff was, and even if you were literate, you wouldn't understand how
Yeah,
this stuff
it's
is.
like-
Weird tables and symbols and
looks
stuff.
Greek to me. It's like
And-
mathematics.
Yeah, it is. And so she started using the papers of his manuscripts to line her pies, and so she ruined a lot of the manuscripts this
Oh,
way. Yeah.
no.
There's whole sections of his manuscripts that are missing, and who knows what was in there. Yeah.
Oh no.
Yep.
Oh well, maybe they weren't meant to be seen. Maybe they were supposed
and
to.
I could be getting that wrong. She might have like used them to clean up spills
or something, but she
ruined
used them.
though.
She ruined them.
Yeah.
Well, poor thing.
But we have enough surviving that they were able to.
Well, obviously. So, how did his influence go from?
Yeah. So 17th century, these manuscripts were discovered, and there was a gentleman. His name began. I think either his first or last name started with A. It was like Ashford or something. But he was a Freemason, and they discovered these manuscripts, and they sort of preserved them and saved them.
Yeah.
And they were like, whatever this is important stuff. We got to maintain this. And Freemasons are all very about the esoteric studies.
Oh yeah. Yep.
And so this stuff ended up getting passed down. It was put into a library where people could view it. And eventually along comes the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn.
Okay.
And the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn took this huge body of work and made a sort of a working system out of these various Enochian calls and tables and things, and worked it into their own practice.
Okay, so it was based on him, basically. Okay.
They mixed sort of their Kabbalistic ceremonial magic with his Enochian stuff into a working system.
Oh, that's amazing.
And it's beautiful.
Yeah.
The system that they were able to work out, like these guys must have been geniuses in the Golden Dawn to be able to figure this out.
So interesting. And if you don't, we need to talk about that one of these times.
Dawn?
I love the Golden Dawn. I love hearing about it. I love learning about it. For another time.
Yes.
so that was the Golden Dawn, and then how do we see his influence in today, occultism and witchcraft, like you said, ceremonial magic.
Yeah, so Crowley joined the Golden Dawn, obviously.
Yeah.
And he was very inspired by the Enochian working, so much so that he worked it into his own ceremonial magic practices. And one of the keys of this that everyone does that practices Enochian magic, that today even, is what they call scrying the ethers.
Okay.
And in these manuscripts, they have a series of what they call the ethers, which were kind of like the mounting heavens, or what he would have described as like the heavens, and various layers. And they all have Enochian calls associated with them.
Okay. Well, for some reason, and correct me if I'm wrong, and I apologize if ignorance is bliss. But isn't that the Tree of Life kind of thing?
It's
or
very
is that
similar, and in
okay,
fact, there
okay.
are people who draw connections between the Sephiroth of the Tree of Life
Yes.
and the layers of the...
Yes, and I've seen that.
And those guys, can you explain a little bit more about Golden Dawn?
Well, we're gonna do a show on that.
That needs a whole nother.
That needs a whole.
It's a
But
big-
can
it's
you
a
do
big
a
thing.
small little explain
so
Golden Dawn real quick in case? But that we're gonna have a whole.
It's kind of a development of you had Freemasonry and you had the Rosicrucian Order and all these people studying various aspects of sort of Hermetic and Kabbalistic tradition, the Western occult tradition, and the Golden Dawn was sort of I couldn't tell you who started it. I had to do a little research before we do that.
I'm not. Yeah.
But they started this order with the goal of training people to be able to pursue the great work and practice magic, and they brought in all of these different things into a working system.
Yeah.
A very beautiful working system
It was kind of like they were a circle. They were like a.
But wasn't it Christian based?
No, it was it was Kabbalistic.
Yeah.
Which is
Yeah.
it was based on
More
Jewish
Hebrew.
tradition, but it also, the thing about Hermetic Kabbalah is the Kabbalah is a very universal system, and it can represent ideas from all over. The Golden Dawn actually used a lot of Egyptian deities that they attributed to various spheres on the Tree of Life, and you see that influence in Aleister Crowley's work.
Yeah.
If you look at that.
But yeah, we could go on.
Sorry, I was just like the whole Golden Dawn like triggered something in my head.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and there's people that, and that's why we love Witches and Wine, because we teach, because we can't assume that everyone knows all the stuff, and it's. But anyway,
that's a subject I'd like to talk about. I need to do a little more research. on
yeah,
it
that
before
would
we
be
do
great,
that,
because
but,
I love hearing about that. And so now I forgot where we were. No, it's okay, honey.
We were following this.
The lineage or the influence. So, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So the modern day.
Yeah.
This is practiced today. Anyone can practice Enochian magic, and they've taken this very, very complicated system that John Dee developed, and then which was made less complicated by the Golden Dawn. They've made it really, people who practice it now have made it even less complicated by paring it down to sort of the basics of what it's about.
And what would that be? The basics?
So,
how would you?
Yeah, so it's about entering into a sort of a trance state to scry as you do. And the Enochian language is used as a kind of a key to access a very specific thing that you're trying to look into.
Okay.
So if you're accessing one of the 32 ethers in the Enochian system, then you would use the Enochian call for that.
And it sounds? And
it's an actual language that you would speak, and the intonation of this call is what puts you into the headspace to activate that the vision that you're supposed to see.
Okay. And I know that it's kind of like the idea of when you use a language, or when you do a sound or something, I've noticed in rituals and ceremonial magic rituals, even in Wiccan rituals, when we do certain chants or whatever, and it's a language that almost only the gods would recognize, and it's very powerful, and it makes a very powerful connection, and so I can understand why
this language is I can attest that it is powerful.
Yes.
In fact, one of the things that I've read and experienced myself is that the Enochian language has the unique ability that anyone who uses it will experience results.
Nice. I like
to the
that.
point of it's almost in a way I don't know if dangerous is the right word. But like if you use this, if you just go into this,
be
foolish.
It's super powerful, and be very aware and very careful, and just be aware that. Be careful what you ask for. Be careful what you wish for.
Don't go in carelessly, just thinking that this is like, oh, I'm going to experience something fun on the Saturday night when I'm bored. I'm going to use the Enochian calls. Things happen.
And you made it sound like some teenager girl.
Yeah.
That's like, oh my god, let's try this.
Like a Ouija board.
Like a Ouija board. Yeah, let's do this. Okay, no, and this is something you need to take seriously, and that's good. That's good to know, because
I have found in my personal experience that when you use this language, and even in using it with intent is obviously a good thing, but like even without intent, even just saying the words is enough that you notice like weird things happen around you when you're using this language. At least I have.
No, that reminds me, and I don't mean to interrupt, but this goes right along with it, is I did an assignment for school where I had to write an invocation where you have, I had, was it Hecate invoking Lilith, or Lilith invoking Hecate?
Interesting.
Lilith invoking Hecate, and it was for an assignment. And I used Hecate's secret names and the sounds that they used in what is that called? The not PMC, the PMG, or the
magnetic field.
No. It's a Greek. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry.
I know what you're
it's
thinking
Hellenic,
of it. Yeah,
and it's how the Hellenic Greeks practice. I'm drawing a blank, but they're kind of the go-to for rituals and spells and chants, and I can't remember the name, and I'm sure someone who's watching is going, Lola, you should know better, but I'm having a brain fart.
Put it in the comments, please.
Yeah, put it in our comments,
go.
please, because I know what it is. I'm not, and I was just reading it back with the magic names and the sounds and the language. All I was doing was reading it back. I wasn't practicing, just reading it over, proofreading, and I invoked. It was so freaking powerful.
Yeah, it's the same.
So you have even just saying it.
That's why I don't like if I ever discuss this with people. And sorry if you were hoping for this, but like I won't use the language unless I am in ritual intent. Like
no, that makes perfect sense because we don't want you to invoke something that we're not ready for. And
it's not even.
I'd be like,
it feels wrong to
just do it in this kind of
Really thing. You've set your barriers up. You've set your guardians up to protect, to make the space safe to do what you're doing.
Yeah, that's and I love that though, and we did learn about in that same class about languages. That's why this really, the way you say things, a different language or a chant or a sound, or I know ceremonial magicians use a lot of sounds, and is that kind
vibrations
of the vibrations that there? Thank you. That's what I'm thinking of.
Words.
Yes, yes, I love that.
Very much like that.
Okay, awesome. I love that. So, let's see. Does anyone have any? I mean, I know you probably have a lot more to talk about, but we try to keep our time. Before we continue a little more, does anyone have any questions? And this is going to bug me. Oh my goodness! Someone have a phone? They can look it up. I want
to know what you would use this for in ritual.
Yeah, I can give you a brief rundown if anyone is interested in actually practicing this.
Look up.
The idea is that you do it to gain spiritual insight on where you are in your spiritual journey, to learn from these beings, these Enochian entities, whatever they are, and to get the message that they can tell you. And the way you do it is real simple. Basically, you'd cast your circle or whatever you do in your tradition, and once you have your ground set, you do a little bit of breathing exercise or whatever you do to get yourself into a trance. And so everyone has different methods of doing that.
Yeah.
Whatever it works for you to get you into that altered state. And once you're there, you read off the Enochian calls.
Okay.
And if you want to memorize them, that's awesome. I've found it doesn't matter. Reading them off a page has the same exact effect.
Yep. I mean, I'm assuming because
and you
they're
read
powerful
the
words.
You read the words, and then if it doesn't, if you don't notice it right away, read it a couple times. Just kind of repeat it. And if you're scrying into like a crystal ball or a black mirror, or even just closing your eyes and doing this, I find that it just kind of starts. It starts to happen. You start to see these things.
Nice.
And what I have found is that it doesn't matter if you pronounce these things wrong. Even like it's hard to pronounce these things sometimes, but one of my favorite authors, Lon Milo Duquette, has a book about this where he says, if a mouse crawled up onto your shoe and then ran away, you might be like, oh, that was interesting. There's a mouse crawled up on my shoe. If a mouse crawled up in your shoe and started to recite Shakespeare to you, it wouldn't matter to you how well he was pronouncing the these and the thys and the,
It's the fact that a mouse is
Yeah,
just...
it's wow. Look at this.
So it's kind of the, it's like
the same level of kind of like they're
amazement.
up here and they're like, wow, look at that! This little thing can
recite
with us.
this. And again, they
gets
know
their attention.
They know that you're speaking their language. They know what you're calling.
Yeah,
because it's intent and it's what's inside of you, and yeah.
So yeah, and I don't want that to like frighten anybody. The initial warning that I gave there. Anyone can try this. Just if you are seriously interested in pursuing it, yeah, by all means, you can do it. There's great books out there on the subject.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Does anyone else have anything? Did you find what I was looking for?
I'm still looking.
What about a link maybe to some good websites?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I wish I knew how to edit and put in links and stuff, and I will learn that someday. But we'll put it. We can also put it in the comments and stuff like that.
I'm sure I could find some.
Yeah.
My favorite book on the subject, there's a couple. One is called The Enochian World of Aleister Crowley, which obviously I'm biased there, but it's kind of like the way he practiced it. It's like it's a little bitty little book.
Oh, okay.
It's probably, I don't know, 40 pages. It's real small.
Yeah.
And then, yeah. And then the other one
looking.
is Enochian Vision Magic by Lon Milo Duquette. He gives you a rundown. He treats it with great respect. He loves the subject, you can tell.
Yeah.
And so he gives you a rundown of what it is, how it started, and then gives you a way to start your own practice.
Okay.
So, yeah.
It was the papyri.
You're close.
No.
I don't know what it is.
But
I
you
can
know what
tell
I'm talking about.
Yeah.
The papyri. It just came to me. The papyri. Oh my gosh. Sorry. This is bugging me.
You're gonna think of it as soon as
and as soon as we stop, I'm gonna go, oh my god. Anyway, is there anything else you want to add? An interesting story or antidote? We have a little more time.
All I can say is that the more if this is something you're interested in, don't let the Christian veneer scare you away from it.
It shouldn't.
It's not a Christian form of magic. The entities are. I personally think they communicate with each person in the way that they need to be communicated with. And in John Dee's case, being a devout Christian, they portrayed themselves as angels because that was the way they could get through to him. They come to me completely differently than they come to you.
Well, yeah. And that's beautiful. That's what's so beautiful about it. And that's how it should be in all beliefs. You know, it's going to present itself the way that we understand it. But when it comes right down to it, we're all the same. We're all just looking for something that's out there and can guide us. And so, well, thank you so much.
Yeah.
And sorry, I just saw your chat head on the. Sorry. Thank you so. I'm sorry. Thank you so much. I love when you come to our show because you're so into it and it's so passionate, and we love you for this. And if you want to be a guest on our show, please email us at crossroadscoven, right? I always get it at gmail.com. That's crossroadscoven@gmail.com. And until next time, always remember to walk with the goddess and be kind to one another. And blessed be.
Blessed be.
Bye.